Hello, Tiger fans. Thanks for joining us this week. A new edition of Tiger Timeout here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we take a look around Tiger and Lady Tiger basketball. We'll start with the top-ranked Lady Tigers. Campbellsville University holds on to that #1 ranking. They preserved that with a couple of wins this past weekend in McKenzie, Tennessee at the Chamber Classic. Bluefield on Friday, Saturday date with Fisk. And Coach, make that trip down. First trip of the year, first games of the year, and you guys get Bluefield right out of the gate. It's a former Mid-South Conference. They scored the first 2 points of the game, and it was all downhill from there for the Rams.
Yeah, going in, we didn't scrimmage anybody, so there was some unknowns going into it, and then Bluefield, it was their first game, so we didn't know much about them, so a little bit nervous going in, but after we got rolling, I felt like we played really good defense. Offensively, we've still got a lot of work to do, but it was good to get that win.
Oh, you didn't play good offense. They only scored 126 points. You're gonna attribute that to the defense,
yes,
right?
It is.
I know that's where you're going with that.
It is from the defense.
But a coach, 126 points. People, you look at that box score and you say, wow, they were on it. But you did. You turned a lot of Bluefield turned it over 20. Did they get to 30? It was close to it.
I think 30. It was close to 30.
So able to turn that defense into offense, and really that's been a calling card of yours, a staple of yours over the last decade plus. Being able to generate the stops, get out and run in transition, and do those types of things, and you certainly did it.
Yeah, even if you're not going offensively, that's something that we hope can get us through games. And we started that way, but if we get into practice and we really work on some things, it's nice to get games under your belt to be able to look at some things you need to improve on. And then when you have Caitlin Wilkes back, and then you have Kayla Luby playing as well as she's playing, you want to make sure we incorporate our post in what we're doing. Well,
speaking of the post, I can't remember the exact math. I think they were like 19 of 22 combined shooting. It was something astronomical. You continue to set them up over and over again there on Friday. It was it seemed like one layup after another, and maybe in totality, offensively, it may have been the best game we've seen from Kayla Luby yet.
I think so. She worked extremely hard this summer to get herself in shape, and she's in great shape. Runs the floor phenomenally for a big kid, and I'm just thrilled to death with the way she played, and just for her being able to reap some of the rewards of her hard work. And she's just such a physical player, and she will get out. She goes hard 110% of the time, and to watch that kid be rewarded makes me happy. And I feel like our guards all passed the ball extremely, extremely well and found her in transition a lot. And it really, anytime you've got a team that's freely passing the ball, I think you've got so much to be able to work with.
Turnaround on Saturday and battle Fisk. So after I think 126 to, what was the final score, 56 maybe on Friday. It was a 96-61, I believe, win over Fisk on Saturday. And how about the newcomer, Whitney Hay, leads the way on Saturday. And Coach, let me know, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time that you've taken both teams to the gym to play a basketball game? Did you guys have to go pick Fisk up?
We've been picked up before.
Okay.
In the national tournament, we had trouble with our charter bus, and everybody was picking us up and running us everywhere. It was still in Jackson, Tennessee, but to my knowledge, this is the first time we went and picked the other team up too, and we're glad to do it, glad to help. Because everybody goes. If you travel and you're in a sport, you're going to have a bus breakdown. So we were able to help.
So does this get far enough down the road where you're looking for your opponent before you realize they have bus trouble, or did they call pretty quick and say, we got a problem, we need help?
I think we knew pretty quickly. Bethel couldn't get their vans because they had taken off with football. So it worked out. We were happy to go get them.
So you brought them to the gym to beat them, 96-61 the final score. Whitney Hay posts 17. Kind of looking back now, recollections of that game. Again, it was a nice game for Kayla Luby. She's actually, after 2 games, your leading scorer. We saw a little more of the maestro, Lauren Lee, dishing the basketball there on Saturday. 7 assists after a fairly quiet stat line there on Friday night. She certainly made her presence felt in the scoring column, though. But again, you get a win over a team out of Nashville that you've seen over the years, and win number 2, the most important thing.
Oh yeah, and it's a team that I feel like is a lot more structured than they've been in the past, and she's come in and brought in a lot of transfers, kids that can physically compete with you, but again, I felt like turned them over and got them out of their routine. It's early for everybody, so to get a win and move on is basically, I think, all anybody wants to do right now, and then see where their weaknesses are and hopefully move on. But like you mentioned, Lauren's defense has improved as much as anybody on our team. Her stat line may not have been great as far as assist numbers, but what she's doing for us defensively is great.
And always in the half court, she's got you in the right places.
For sure.
And
yeah.
she is, I think, the definition of a floor general.
Yep.
And you can look at that from the assist column one game, the next game it may be the scoring. You know, on Friday night she made some really nice moves in the paint. Her body control, second to none at this level. How strong she is. She can beat you in a number of ways. And
she's worked so much on her shot. She's not taken. I don't know if she's taken any threes in a game yet. I can't remember, but she's gotten herself better. She's so good in the lane. And then when she gets out behind the three-point line, being able to knock that shot down even makes her harder to guard, because when you have to honor her back there, she's going to blow past you.
The Lady Tigers back in action this coming weekend at the Powell Athletic Center. Their home opener. They'll welcome Brescia and the Bearcats to town. It is a 1 o'clock Eastern time start in the Powell Center. Coverage begins at 12:45. We'll step away, take a timeout, come back and talk about that matchup with Brescia coming your way here on Tiger Timeout.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
As a dad, every day is a challenge.
To make sure that the time that I have, I spend with them.
It doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to
Trying to teach them.
when they learn something new and you can just see in their faces. It's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Thanks for staying with us here on Tiger Timeout. The Lady Tigers in action this weekend against Brescia. Before we look ahead, is Matt Payton here visiting with the head coach, Ginger High Colvin. Coach, a couple of newcomers. We're going to get a chance over the next several months to talk about Whitney Hay and Tyra Flowers. But for those Lady Tiger fans that maybe didn't watch or weren't able to listen or see any of the highlights, the initial thoughts after seeing them in action the first two games. I know I was pleased and certainly impressed.
Well, obviously, we've known in practice Tyra Flowers. We'll start with. I saw Tyra in high school, started recruiting her the day I saw her on the floor. I knew she would be a great impact for us and what we do. And unfortunately, she chose to go on to North Alabama, but we got her back. Defensively, she's going to be one of the best we've ever had to play that position, and she's offensively a tremendous passer, and we want her to be a little more selfish with the ball. But Tyra, the kids love her, we love her, and athletically she brings a Madison Faulkner kind of vibe to the floor for us, because she's just so quick and does so much for us. I thought she came in and played extremely well, and we're thrilled to have Tyra, great kid to have on the floor. Whitney Hay. Whitney's a kid that we've known about because obviously Elizabethtown is close by. She come through us via Belmont Northern and had played at Belmont quite a bit. Went to Northern, ended up redshirting and didn't play there. So we're fortunate to get them both. They both have 3 years left. Whitney's a big guard that can post you up, passes the ball well. Again, another quick kid that gives us length and a kid that's played in those big games, big AAU, and we're trying to fit them in because it's hard to bring in kids with an already established group. We didn't lose anybody from last year's group, and I feel like it's all meshed really well. And we've still got a long way to go. We're still going to be tested, and when we are, we've got to figure out what we're going to do when that happens. But right now, we're really pleased with both of them.
And the Lady Tigers continue to add to that stable. Obviously, it's going to be an off season that's way down the line, but they will lose quite a bit. You add Hallie Allen. We talked about that on last week's show, and then this week Bella Stiles from Tennessee. So something about the Tennessee, I don't know, maybe replacing a Courtney Pritchett, you got to go back and get a couple more from the volunteer state.
You got, we're going to have quite a few to replace Courtney Pritchett. So we go out and bring those Tennessee kids in. But two good additions for us, 2 guards and 2 really good hard-nosed kids that know how to play.
Number 1 ranked team in the country as the poll came out today. You guys hold on to that top spot. You get all 21 first place votes, and now you kind of come into Saturday at home in the Powell Center. And I think the home opener is always special, but when you've got a group of kids maybe like this, even a little more so, you got these kids have been here 5 and 6 years in some cases. So it's a really cool time to open the season in the Powell, and this Saturday will certainly be no different.
A lot of last firsts for those kids when you come in, and it's like you said, it's a group of kids that have been together a long time, and we're excited about what our opportunities are. I know we're first in the poll right now. I wish that was the determining factor, but it's not. So we're just going to have to play every game, and our out-of-conference schedule is pretty tough. Our first few games are games we should win, but after that, we've got a lot of teams that are going to come in and challenge us.
Yeah, and I think that, having that bullseye, that target of number 1 certainly amps that up. And, Brescia with a new coach, they'd love nothing more than to be the ones to come in here. They've already got a win over a Mid-South Conference school this season as they knocked off Cumberland. I think they played free to a fairly close game. I think it ended up being middle teens or so. But, new coach, some familiar players, one of them with a nice last name, and Lindsay Payton. I think she spells it wrong, though. But anyway, it's a Brescia team you've seen a little bit over the last few years.
And just watching them on Scout, Hootie's always gone through them. They play extremely hard. They'll play a little 1-2-2 half-court trap or half-court defense. They really get after you, and they run some really good sets. So we've got to make sure we come out and attack them and don't throw the ball away. We turn the ball over too much our first 2 games, and that's a point of emphasis that we're really trying to get after. And they're going to make us determine whether or not we're going to improve in that area.
And the schedule worked out for you guys. It's almost the opposite of the guys. Brent's schedule really front loaded. A lot of games early, a lot of games in November. I think he's going to get to the end of November with double figure games or right at it. You guys, on the other hand, it's still kind of spread out, a little sporadic there. That's Brescia on Saturday. That science and arts games, I think those may be the dates from the men's schedule there, guys, but we'll touch on that. The science and arts is on the 18th. Union College on the 24th and 25th in the event down in Kingsport. So your schedule, you're kind of slow playing this. You're 3 weeks into the season and you've played 2. You're going to have 3 games under your belt.
And with us, with scheduling, obviously the conference got a little bit smaller, so to go out and get games, you're trying to find classics, you're trying to find places you can pick up 2, maybe 3 games. We're going down to Kingsport and getting those 2 games. We're going down to Florida, picking up a couple games, trying to go to Puerto Rico. We're even coming back and going to Pikeville. So it's not like there's, it's an easy thing. Filling that schedule is not easy, and we wanted to play good teams. We're playing some really great teams, and we just got to take them one at a time. But I look at that schedule when you pop it up there, and it stresses me out a little bit.
Well, you gotta iron sharpens iron. So you take some of those teams on and hopefully come out all the better for it. Coach, best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Ginger High Colvin and the Lady Tigers in action Saturday against Brescia in the Powell Center, 1 p.m. The start time. Coverage begins at 12:45. We'll step away, take a timeout, come right back here on Tiger Timeout.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back to Tiger Timeout here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we turn our attention over to the Tigers. The Tiger basketball team back in action last weekend. Again, this weekend, Coach Brent Vernon joins me. And Coach, opening weekend, you go to Columbia, you split with St. Francis and Carolina. 3 straight home games. That's always nice to be at the Powell Center. Going back to last weekend, a couple of games in the Campbellsville Classic, some really good games against Midway, Indiana University Southeast. Test you guys, obviously, an overtime win, a hard-fought win that you pull away late on Saturday. Those are the types of things I think here in the early going of the season you need to see from your club.
Absolutely. And you know, a great Classic all the way around. 4 games, 4 good games, all very competitive. You know, Midway is very unknown going into it. New coach got hired very, very late. A very new roster, only 1 or 2 returners. So we had gotten a little bit of film on them, but not much. And so we were really blind going into that game. I thought they played extremely well. I didn't think we had our best performance. I thought our effort was there, but I just didn't think we executed the game plan like we wanted to. But we did come out with a win at the end. And I thought it showed a lot of resiliency from our group because you know, we got it to overtime and then, you know, got down 4 early in overtime and then hung on for the 6-point lead at the end. But we never panicked. We showed a lot of just resiliency all the way through, and I thought we had some senior leaders really step up. And IU Southeast, they just continue to throw good guard at you every year you play them. And we did a very nice job on Saturday. I thought played a lot better than we did Friday, and 2 really good wins in the Classic. You know,
we've kind of laughed about it after the fact, but of course you get the 3rd game of the season at home, back-to-back the next day, and you go to overtime. And I know we kind of joked you'd rather have an overtime win than a regulation loss, so you're able to hang on. I thought Darius Harding was going to have himself an ESPN type of highlight in his season debut. He had that tap-in at the end that I thought that thing was halfway down, man. I don't know how it came back. After the fact, he said, I should have just tried to cram it. If they got me for a foul, they got me, whatever. But it pops out, and it's got to be a little worrisome. Here you are, you get tired legs, you know you got the next game. You don't want that to be a letdown, sometimes having an opportunity to winning it and not cashing in. You get down early in overtime, as you mentioned. I thought it said a lot about your club, the resolve and willingness to fight through it and pick up a win. You can't overstate the importance of that early in a season, I don't think.
You can't. And I look back at the previous 2 years, I think we panic in those situations. For whatever reason, we just had a lot more composure this weekend, and especially on Friday night, than we've had in those really close games. And you saw it from top to bottom. You know, I thought a lot of different guys stepped up, and you know, we were shorthanded second half for just some things that went on during the game. You know, we had to make a point to prove to our guys about how we're going to do things. So, and then you lose Noah in overtime to fouling out. So now you're trying to pick some pieces up of normal guys in the rotation, and some guys had to step up in different areas, and just again a really nice job by our guys.
Saturday, Indiana University Southeast, and you guys kind of go counter punch for maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe 35. The last handful of minutes, you start to pull away, hit some shots, get some stops, and I think maybe the thing about that is most impressive. Cam Vick had been playing really well. He was terrific on Friday. Had a nice start to the game on Saturday. Rolls an ankle in the first half, and you guys have to go without him the rest of the way. So now you're without Keyston Brown, of course, already due to the wrist injury, hand injury, and then Cam rolls an ankle. And so here you go. You got to figure out and navigate this last 20 minutes, and you guys were able to do just that and pull away in the process.
Yeah, it was really, you know, it ended up being about 26 minutes, I want to say, that Cam was out, you know, about 6-7 minutes ago in the first half whenever it happened. So we were shorthanded for him from a long time, and it was a really close game, but Kobe Penny really stepped up to the challenge. I thought Darius Harding again, getting a little better every game. Jace Wallace did a very nice job of just he ran a lot of point, even though he can do a little bit of both, but I thought he did a nice job of getting us into what worked on the offensive end. And then defensively, we were really good and locked in on the defensive side.
And how do you try to navigate that on those back-to-back days? And again, we talked about overtime. As a coach, is it, you know, I think you have it in mind how it needs to look or how you want it to look. I feel like it's,
never works
50,
out.
It never really goes that way. I laughed at you after the game, kind of like, here you had this plan for Darius. Hey, we're going to ease him back in, and we're going to. Well, then Cam gets hurt, and it's like you just got to, overtime the night before.
Right.
Cam's hurt today. You just got to roll with it. It's a moving target always.
Yeah, you're always trying to win the first one, obviously, but you're also trying to prepare yourself for the second one where you're not too tired. And we had to play way too many minutes on Friday of what you want in a back-to-back classic. Cam had to play 42 minutes of an overtime game. Darius' first game back, we're thinking 10 or 12 minutes. He ended up 16, and he was in there for the whole overtime, basically. So, everybody had to play a little bit more than we wanted, but that's what's been nice about this group is they've never given in. We get tired, we get fatigued, but we really battle, and that's what we did all weekend.
The Tigers concluded their 3-game homestand with a win over Calumet last night. We'll step away, take a quick timeout, come back and talk about the victory for Campbellsville over the Crimson Wave here on Tiger Timeout.
What if you could feel in control of your retirement in just a few clicks? At aceyourretirement.org, you can. Start with a free 3-minute chat with Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer some simple questions like, how do you feel about your ability to save for retirement? Or in how many years do you want to retire? To get free action items customized just for you, get your retirement back on track at aceyourretirement.org.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
One final segment here of Tiger Timeout this week as Matt Payton joins you with the head coach of Tiger basketball, Brent Vernon, here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Campbellsville, a couple of games this coming weekend at the Owain Rollins Center in Williamsburg, Kentucky. Before we get to that point, let's talk about the win over Calumet as Calumet College of St. Joseph comes down to the Powell Center last night. Campbellsville gets the win over the Crimson Wave. It was a 91-57 final for the Tigers, coach, and you get back home, a couple of games over the weekend here back on a weeknight. You had a nice crowd, I felt like, for a Tuesday. Tyrell Hunt leads the way with 19 points. He had 8 rebounds. He was really good for you guys. Jace Wallace, Chandler Clements in double figures. I think you had 5 Tigers in total in double figures. And I think the first half was one that it was you got out to a big lead. I don't want to use the word sloppy, but it was fast-paced and it maybe got you out of rhythm, we'll say. It felt like you slowed it down and you got into kind of that groove the last 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, a lot better the second half of the first half and then the second half. Calumet, they guard a little different. They play really fast on the offensive end. They try to speed you up to where you're doing things out of your comfort zone. And I thought the first half, they did a very nice job, even though we had a good lead, of making us play sloppy basketball. We had 10 turnovers, which we haven't had 10 turnovers in a game all year, and we had it in the first half. Did such a much better job the second half, only having 4. So we figured them out a little bit, but we got into their game a little bit, which isn't what we wanted to do. And then we did, like you said, the last 10 minutes, we really settled down that second half. We really extended our lead, and then we took that over into the second half and just continued to play well.
You got to win, unfortunately, for Tiger fans and those that follow the program closely. If they're watching this, they wanted me to start with this question. We had to get to it in time, but Javon Smith goes down. Obviously, young man from Bardstown that's just continued to mature and grow, and he's fun to be around. And he goes down. Knee injury, I think it was right knee. This is the same one that he had some issues with coming from high school into college and different things. And I guess maybe an update. I know it's still early, not a whole lot to be known, but
it's definitely too early. A little bit of swelling and soreness today. We'll get to the doctor tomorrow. We'll end up having to do an MRI to see. We're not real sure if there's ligament damage or not. We just sort of take it day by day. We met today and for what it is, he's in good spirits. He's obviously disappointed. He's really been playing good basketball. He's making shots. He's defending his tail off. It's one of those things you can see it in practice as much as games, how his confidence is getting. So it came at a bad time, obviously, and you never want injuries, but I guess at the same time, if it were to be an injury, he's not past that 5-game threshold to where he could still have a redshirt year. We're just going to pray for the best and see what happens, and we'll get it figured out when we hear the final result.
I think right now his calling card is his defense, and we touched on this, Donnie Miller and Jacoby Hendricks from last week, and he drew a large part of that assignment, and those guys were rather inefficient, 2 guys averaging mid-20s entering the weekend. So that tells you kind of what kind of defender he is. And I think it's the steals, the blocks, I don't know if they're ever there, but he's a defensive player of the year type of guy. To say the least, and we certainly wish Javon well, as the Tigers hope he's back sooner rather than later. This weekend, though, you'll most likely have to go without him. Maybe you get Cam Bick back. Whatever it is, I know your guys will be ready for the task. It's a former Mid-South Conference club on Friday evening, 5 p.m. in the Wayne Rollins Center as you battle Tennessee Southern. I'll be there for the call of that one, coverage starting at 4:45. Coach, you're really familiar with this team. The scout on on-conference school is one thing. This is a team you've seen a lot over the last 2 years, 3 years, and it's a lot of familiar pieces, starting with Adarian Hudson and Brady Brown and some of those guys.
Yeah, they're really good. They've been really good the last few years, and you're getting into that 4th year of these guys. So the program is just going as they go. There's probably not tons of teaching having to go on for Coach Lyon down there. He's just sort of letting those guys lead the way, and that's a nice thing to have. But a couple, 3 or 4 really good players they have returning, and they've done a nice job on the recruiting trail. It'll be a tough task, and again, we don't know as of now who will be available and who won't. Javon will not play this weekend. Cam's rehabbing. He's trying to get back. He's doing everything in his power, and that's one thing that I can respect about what we have going on. We've got a lot of guys beat up. I get to the office this morning, I go down to the training room, and we've got 6 guys in there already. So they're really working on taking care of their bodies. Those guys that are out are working on trying to get out there and to get healthy to help us. But, we'll see what we have. The one thing this team won't do is we won't make excuses. We're going to go out, and we're going to fight, and we're going to lay it out all on the line, and it'll be a tough task. But I think we'll be up for it. I really do.
It's been a busy start to the season. You'll wrap up the weekend with Lynchburg Saturday afternoon. We won't have coverage of that one due to home events and Tiger football and all that. We'll certainly be trying to keep up with that. I'm sure Brandon Hensley and the gang in Williamsburg will do a good job covering it. But it's a Lynchburg team you've seen over time. They've underwent a coaching change here recently as well. I don't know what it is. Akeem Scott got that job at Midway late. Poor Benjamin Chin took over 10 days is what I think he told me for Calumet. And now Lynchburg, they just underwent a coaching change within the last 2 or 3 weeks as well, right?
Well, theirs happened basically about the first day of school.
Okay.
So it's been a little longer, but the new coach came in, had no affiliation with any of the guys that were brought in or returning. So he came in with a whole bunch of unknowns. So we don't know tons about them. We haven't even really looked at that roster yet to see if they're guys that are returning from last year or not. Like I said, we sort of have that same motto. It's day by day, game by game, and we'll worry about them after our game on Friday with Southern. We'll get to watch them play Cumberlands and then prepare for them that night.
Best of luck this weekend, buddy.
Thank you, Matt.
The Tigers back in action this weekend at the Wayne Rollins Center in Williamsburg. It's a 5 o'clock start against UT Southern and the Firehawks Friday evening. Join me for the call on 88.7 The Tiger beginning at 4:45. For the head coach, Brent Vernon, as well as the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Ginger Colvin, Matt Payton. We'll see you next time on Tiger Timeout.